It's here, the Nothing Phone 2, the much awaited sequel to the Nothing Phone 1. But is it a worthy sequel? Let's find that out together. If you are here for the very first time, I'm Ershad. This is Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Now, first things first, the unboxing experience itself is damn nice and satisfying. It's still the same wrapper style packaging, which once opened, you can't put it back together. But beneath that, you've got a book style packaging as well. Apart from that, you also get a safety and warranty information guide. And there is that very familiar test tube style SIM ejector pin as well, which was there inside the Nothing Phone 1's box too. And then, of course, we've got that newly designed transparent cable. Well, the cable itself isn't transparent, but the end points are. Of course, you do not get a case inside the box, nor an adapter, both of which you will have to buy separately. Talking about the cables, both these variants come with a white cable. I wish Nothing had color matched it for the grey variant at least. I'm not too enthused about the cable design itself, but you can see where this is coming from. Kalpe used to work for OnePlus, and they have the iconic red cable, which is now a red cable club too. This could be one of Nothing's marketing moves. We'll have to wait and watch. Now, when the design renders leaked, there were two distinctive camps that formed. One camp that felt that the Nothing Phone 2's design is more of the same. It looks very similar to the Nothing Phone 1. Now, others realized that Nothing was trying to create a brand identity and was trying to familiarize its users with its unique brand of industrial design. Now, which camp are you on? Do you think it's more of the same, or do you think that this is exactly what the Phone 2 needed? There is no doubt that the Phone 2 looks very similar to the Phone 1. You've got the same glass back, glass front, and an aluminium frame as well. Now, both the front and the back are protected by Corning's Gorilla Glass 5, which was true even for the Nothing Phone 1. But now there's this very slight curve at the corners, which Nothing calls a pillowed effect. And I completely agree with that terminology because it does improve the in-hand feel slightly with that slight bit of curve that's going on. But this phone does feel heavy. It tips the scale at about 203 grams and it's about 8.6 millimeters thick as well. Don't expect it to be light and comfortable. It's dense, but it feels premium. Now you've got two color variants of the Phone 2, white and grey. But I prefer the black that was there with the Nothing Phone 1. The grey is slightly too muted for my taste. Now when you look at these camera modules on the Phone 1 and the Phone 2, they look exactly the same. You've got big protruding rings. But when you place it flat on a table, there's not too much of a table wobble, which is a good thing. Now what distinguishes a Nothing Phone from the rest of the candy bar designs out there is its transparent back, but this time around you've not just got 5 but 11 glyph lights inside. I'll definitely talk about the glyph lights really soon, but let's talk a little bit about the other hardware elements that are present on the phone. There's a power button on the right and two individual volume up and down buttons on the left. Now, since both the Phone 1 and the Phone 2 have an aluminum mid-frame, you've got to have plastic antenna lines for network signals. And the Phone 1 actually had 7 antenna lines as opposed to 9 on the Phone 2 now. Now, at the bottom, you've got a Type-C port. Now, this Type-C port is USB 2.0 speeds. It should have been at least USB 3.0 or 3.1, which is definitely a bit of a letdown. There's also a proper stereo speaker setup with left and right channels. Take a listen for yourself and let me know what you guys think. There's also a SIM card tray which accepts dual nano SIM cards, but there's something very interesting that we noticed when we set up the phone for the very first time. It won't let you move ahead until you've put in an Indian SIM. Now that's a sort of limitation that I've not seen on any phone that I've used till now, so I'm not so sure what's the limitation out there. You also get IP54 rating now as opposed to IP53 on the Phone 1, and there is wireless charging at 15 watt Qi wireless charging standard support and 5 watt reverse wireless charging as well. By the way, Nothing as a brand believes in building sustainable tech, so this time around the Phone 2 is made of even more sustainable materials compared to Phone 1. You can see the figures for yourself. For example, it uses 100% recycled aluminium for the mid-frame, those kind of numbers. This is actually a very, very good move. I think more tech brands should adopt, the sustainability narrative. Now, like I mentioned, the Glyph interface has now been upgraded. There are 33 addressable LED zones now as compared to 12 on the Nothing Phone 1. Now, this enables a lot of new features and I'm going to show it to you right now on camera. The one thing that I've spent a lot of time on is the new Glyph Composer. Now, this has been created by one of Nothing's investors, Swedish House Mafia, and you can create your own ringtones and set them too. Take a listen for yourself. Now you can bring out your inner DJ as well with this. It's pretty cool, I must say. Then there's a feature called Essential Notifications. For example, when you go into notifications, you'll see that option. Using this, you can add any app or a contact. Right now I see only apps, but whenever you get a notification from the app or the contact, what will basically happen is that this light will be consistently on until you actually swipe out the notification or actually read it. This is very useful because if you have a loved one or any professional contact whose messages you do not want to miss but you're really busy, you can actually be reminded that there is a notification waiting for you from that important person and you need to attend it. There's also this strip which is far more useful and evolved compared to the other strips that are there on the phone. It actually shows progress. For example, there's something called a Glyph timer now, so you can set the time that you want and you can actually see the progress on this strip itself. Apart from that, nothing is also working with third-party apps. Right now it's Uber and Zomato, and Uber integration is currently active on this phone. So essentially how this will work is when you actually order a cab or you order something from Zomato, the progress of how much time it will take to reach you is actually shown on the Glyph itself, so you don't need to take a look at the phone. Similarly, you can use this progress bar to also check the volume level, so you can see what is the volume level right now and you can change it as well. But this feature was very iffy in our time with the phone. I think it's a bit of a bug, nothing has to fix it. Now you must remember with the phone one, when you connect it to a charger, this exclamation mark at the bottom will show you how much charge is there on the phone if you wiggled it slightly. That feature continues to exist, but there's one extra feature that you get now with this exclamation mark. Okay Google, what's the temperature right now in Pune? There you go, the essential notification. This is what I was talking about.
Currently in Pune, it's 26 degrees.
Thank you.
Due to the current humidity, it feels like it's 30.
That's why I've been feeling hot. That's true. And of course, the already existing features like flip to Glyph, they work as well. And there are a few other features too. Now for Nothing Phone 1 users, if you're wondering if you're going to be getting all of these new Glyph features, well, all of them won't come to you because certain things are hardware tied. For example, whatever requires that progress strip, for that you will have to buy the phone too. Alright, let's talk about the display on these phones. You've got a 6.7 inch Full HD plus 120Hz 10-bit LTPO AMOLED display. Of course, the display size has been bumped up from the phone one. What's also been bumped up is the brightness level. So now you get 1000 nits of peak brightness when you're using the phone normally and in high brightness mode, and you get 1600 nits of peak brightness when you're watching HDR content. Like I mentioned, you get support for HDR10+, but HDR10+ support is available only on YouTube, not on Netflix. I couldn't see that, and nothing confirms that it's not gonna come to the phone 2 either. In fact, it's not there on the phone 1 either, which is a bit of a letdown for a premium phone. It's an upgraded display for sure. I really liked using it, especially in the natural color mode. I don't really prefer the alive color mode because it's a little too saturated, but then this works. The haptic feedback is only slightly improved from the Nothing Phone 1. It's still good, but not the best. And apart from that, you've got an in-display fingerprint scanner, which is very fast to unlock the phone, but it's placed slightly too low. By now, we all know the fact that the Nothing Phone 1 comes with Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, which is still a great processor. And there are 3 variants of the phone that you can purchase: 8 128GB, 12 256GB, and 12 512GB. Now, of course, the RAM is LPDDR5X type and UFS 3.1 storage. Now, I really cannot do any comparisons at the moment, but in Antutu, with version 9, you get a score of over 1 million. With version 10, you get a score of over 1.3 million. Geekbench scores are in line with what Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 phones get. In fact, when I was using the phone 2 and playing games with it, this is one of the very few phones that comes with Android's built-in game mode as well, which also lets you see the FPS. Now, Call of Duty runs on this at low graphics and ultra frame rates, or very high graphics and max frame rates, so 60 and 90 FPS possible. BGMI players would be glad to know you can actually play the game at UHD or 4K with ultra FPS. And if you want extreme 60 FPS frames, then you'll have to dial down the graphics to HDR. You know, I'm itching to tell you more about the performance because I've started doing the performance tests. I'll just give you a little bit of a hint that things are looking very, very good. The performance is actually good for an 8 Plus Gen 1 phone, but well, I'm not telling you more because for that, you'll have to subscribe to the channel, and I'm under embargo right now, but after a couple of days, you will get the review and comparison as well along with the OnePlus 11R. And for those who don't play games, the phone is fast, it's fluid, it's responsive. It's extremely well tuned, especially the hardware software optimization is very well done. Dare I say, it feels and performs faster than a current OnePlus phone. Now let's talk about the battery. You get a 4700 mAh battery inside with 45 watt wired charging support, and of course 15 watt wireless and 5 watt reverse wireless charging support is also there. Now I can't run any charging tests, but Nothing claims that you can charge the phone from 0 to 100 in 55 minutes. Now battery life, again, I can't talk about that. Embargo. Now, the other big new change on the Nothing Phone 2 is, of course, Nothing OS 2. It's based on Android 13, and Nothing promises that you'll get 3 years of software updates and 4 years of security updates, with one security update every 2 months. Now, considering the fact that Nothing Phone 1 has received so many updates and the performance and the camera performance, all of that has been improved in due course, I really like Nothing's commitment to software, so I hope that they do that with the Nothing Phone 2 as well. Now, you must be wondering, why is there a monochrome aesthetic? Well, Nothing says that this is so that you don't get distracted by the flashy, colorful icons that you get from brands. But I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Are you really distracted by colorful brand icons? I mean, that apart, the design itself looks very beautiful. That whole dot matrix pattern, it's very uniquely Nothing, and it's so distinctive that it definitely stands out. It's really cool, trust me. Of course, you've got the new monochrome icons on the phone, and it's just like an icon pack that we used to install on our Android phones back in the day, and therefore it also behaves like an icon pack, which means that certain apps do not have the themed icons, as you can tell, and I was surprised that even Facebook and Instagram and Netflix don't have it. Now, what I really like is that there are very good looking widgets now. They're all Nothing widgets, but you see these tiny little widgets out here, they are quick settings. So quick settings that you get on the notifications shade here, you can actually have that on the home screen itself. And I find that very useful, because once you open the lock screen, immediately if I can switch on the mobile hotspot like this, how useful is that? But once you switch it on, it turns red, but red is the color for stop, right? So I was taken a little aback by this design choice. What do you guys think? I think it should have been a different color, but then again, this is okay too. And one really cool addition is that if you have an enlarged folder like this, you can long press that, customize it, and you can have a cover image. And this cover image can be anything. This is Google Apps, so I'll probably add something that's Google related. Let me see what's there. And you can also change the size, by the way. Anyway, you can also add a emoticon. You can add emojis as well. Look at this. That's cool, right? Now, apart from that, I also noticed a few experimental features. So what you have now is AirPods support as well. So if you're somebody who owns an AirPods 3rd gen or an AirPods Pro, you will notice that the settings page, the Bluetooth settings page, now shows the battery level for the case and the buds themselves, which is not available by default on Android. This is how it looks, and this is just Nothing's way of pulling in more iPhone users to their ilk. There's also an experimental feature for enhanced touch response, which you can switch on from here, and you can see that they clearly mention that it will increase battery usage, so be careful of that. Now, if you're wondering what is the regular TSR, then it is 240 Hz. So Nothing OS 2 is a very clean software with absolutely zero bloatware. It's very refined experience and very close to stock Android as well, except for, of course, the kind of look that Nothing has gone for the icon pack and the widgets as well. And I think this is only the start of this operating system, because Nothing is actually working with a team of software engineers to build on top of this. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. I really hope it can beat the Oxygen OS experience that we used to have until Oxygen OS 11. Alright, let's talk about the cameras, but I can't talk much about it because you know why. By the way, there is no telephoto camera, and I was really expecting it to be there. At least a 2x, if not 3x. But yes, 3x would have been better. But anyway, you get an upgraded primary camera sensor, a 50 MP Sony IMX 890, which is the same sensor that is used in the OnePlus 11, the 11R, the Nord CE3, and the Nord 3 as well. And apart from that, you've got the same old 50 MP Samsung JN1 sensor for the ultra wide angle camera, and on the front you've got a new upgraded 32 megapixel Sony IMX 615 sensor. I've shot pictures in many scenarios, and my first impressions are generally positive. The color science is very natural now, the skin tones are good too, you get very crisp details as well. And for the most part, the HDR performance and the low light performance has also been improved. But in low light, don't expect it to have a very bright exposure, because Nothing really doesn't do that. It wants to keep it very close to the scene, so that's what you see. So of course, there'll be a lot of crushed shadows. Anyway, the selfie camera is also superb now. I just loved the selfies I captured with it. Ultrawide continues to be good too, with decent color science consistency. Here's a set of samples in different situations that you can see and judge for yourself. Now, video recording is possible at 4K 60 FPS using the primary camera and the ultra wide angle camera. On the primary, you also get support for OIS plus EIS, so the stabilization is good. And on the front camera, you can shoot up to 1080p 60 FPS videos. Now, when you're shooting video in low light, you also can trigger the night mode with the primary camera. That does bump down the resolution to 1080p 30 FPS, which is what you have to keep in mind. There's also this new action mode that Nothing has added, and apart from that, you've got slow motion available at 1080p 480 FPS and 4K at 120 FPS. Of course, I haven't given you a detailed feedback because this is just a hands-on video. But what I'll do is I'll add all the camera samples in a G Drive link and put it in the description below. Go check it out and let me know what you guys think. Now with the Nothing Fold 2, the feeling that I got was the brand is very confident with its approach. Now if you look at it, in India, the phone is actually more expensive than the OnePlus 11R. Now OnePlus is a brand that's got great reach in India and Nothing is still just building up. Yes, the starting price of the phone is 45,000 rupees, which is a brave move considering OnePlus's might in India. But we all know that Nothing doesn't even consider OnePlus as competition. Nothing is trying to basically be a disruptor and be an experiential brand, which is very similar to, of course, Apple's iPhone. Does it actually achieve the experience with the phone too? Largely yes. You get the feeling that you're not using yet another candy bar phone. It's a distinctively design first, experience first approach that will appeal to the hype beasts. But is it a huge upgrade from the Nothing Phone 1? No. It's just a continuation of the Nothing story. And the question really is whether you feel it deserves the hype or if it is overhyped. As for my answer to that question, I will give that to you in my review and comparison against the OnePlus 11R, which is definitely dropping on the 13th. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.